The Dead Sea Scrolls are a collection of 972 texts that are mainly considered to be fragments of the Hebrew Bible, known as the Old Testament. They were discovered in Khirbet Qumran by an Arab peasant in what was known as British Mandate Palestine, now known as Israel and the occupied territories. The Dead Sea Scrolls contain the Community Rule, the Damascus Document, the War Scroll, the Temple Scroll, Apocryphal Psalms, poems and prayers, and other extra-biblical texts, originally taken out of the Old Testament. The Dead Sea Scrolls are commonly associated with the Essenes, and it is commonly accepted that the Essenes wrote the entire Dead Sea Scrolls. For those who have never heard of the Essenes were a Jewish community that began in the 2nd century BC during the times of the Second Jewish Temple. The Essenes were a reaction against the Sadducees and the Pharisees, and they are commonly associated with Jesus of Nazareth. The Essenes stayed away from marriage, rejected temple priesthood, rejected animal sacrifices, and much more. The Essenes were organized into 4 classes: the children, the novices, which is occupied class 2 and 3, and the full initiates. Hearing about the hype about the Dead Sea Scrolls from TV shows on channels such as National Geographic, I decided to order the book and got it on my 16th birthday. I have read mostly the Community Rule, the Damascus Document, the War Scroll, and the Temple Scroll, as well as some psalms and poems from the book. I always wondered whether or not it was really genuine, so I decided to do some research. Here are some key concepts that I found reading most of the Dead Sea Scrolls book. They are the battle between the Prince of Light and the Angel of Darkness, the Essenes being organized by priests, Levites, etc., talking highly of the sons of Zadok, the name of God being Yahweh, animal sacrifices or holocausts to Yahweh, a 40 years war against Belial and Canaan, along with Assyria, Persia in the east, the Philistines, etc. Description of the future temple being a cube-like construction, the inner court being 280 by 280 cubits, the middle court being 480 times 480 cubits, and the outer court being 1600 times 1600 cubits. Now, there are many contradictions between the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Old Testament, and the actual Essenes. First, there was no prediction of a third temple in the Old Testament. In fact, verses such as Daniel 9:27 actually refers to the second temple, since the book of Daniel was written after the destruction of Solomon's temple. Second, there was no mention of the battle between the Prince of Light and the Angel of Darkness in the Old Testament. Third, as we have shown to you, the Essenes rejected priesthood and also animal sacrifices. Fourth, the sons of Zadok was a high priest of the Sadducees, not the Essenes. Fifth, the Old Testament never says that God was to be on Israel's side. In fact, he was going to use Israel's enemies to destroy the country in Zechariah 14:2. Lastly, the word Yahweh was never part of the Old Testament until the Masoretic texts of 1000 AD. As we've explained in our other articles and videos, Yah originated from the Babylonian and Egyptian moon god. My conclusion is much of the Dead Sea Scrolls was written not by the Essenes but by the Sadducees. I will continue to dig deeper into the Dead Sea Scrolls and try to prove and disprove whether they, other than the parts listed, are genuine. Thank you all and have a nice day.